Hey there guys, so today I'm going to make a guide on Biscuit Blast and my setup, as well as bisquick and how that setup kind of applies and how you can sort of implement it into a run. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off obviously going to terrace. We're going to grab Claude here, jump on this touchpad, so our state is saved for console players, but also you can just set a save state if you're playing on emulator like I am. This is going to take a little bit to get if you've never done it before or if you're unfamiliar with Spyro's movement, so I would definitely recommend the 99 lives code as well. And so I'm just going to start off with the basics. So we'll get Biscuit out of the way here. So to get this damage boost, there's a couple of different parts that you have to think about, and they're all sort of in quick succession. I've got the bottom mapping up there, hopefully that can help. But basically what we want to do is we want to get Spyro in here, and I would definitely recommend practicing this without Biscuit there, just so he doesn't sort of scare you off with his shocking. Oh, I always forget this bit when I try and teach people, but so I would say the number one easiest way, and this applies to Biscuit and Bisquick, the easiest way to line yourself up without too much over adjusting is to run in, go against that chocolate wall, just brush against that chocolate wall. Usually I will run in and I will jump, I will jump over Biscuit, so I will, that did not work, sorry. Give me a second, there we go. Emulators are fun. So I'll run in, brush up against this wall, jump, and it sort of lands me in the general spot that I want to be. And where I like to sort of start is I want to have Spyro, so I want to have his crest line up with this dark spot on the wall. So I want it to line up with the left side of this dark spot on the wall. And so what I see a lot of people do is they will set up and they will get the position initially, and then they will do this. They'll turn this way, or they'll get it and then they'll turn this way. It's going to be easier to do the second part of this if you are lined up exactly like this. As you get more comfortable with the trick, you can sort of mess around with the positioning that you start with, because the most important part is going to be how you end up, and also the timing of your square press to get that boost. So once you've got this position, you're going to wait for Biscuit's animation to play out. To a certain point, it's going to be different for emulator and different for console on the timing, but I like to say at the sort of height of his, quote-unquote height of his animation, you'll want to do a full hop, and I'm not sure if this is going to pick up on the button display there, but what I generally do is when I do my full hop, I will do a light left press, so that was too light, but I will do a light left press into this upper dark spot here. And with this upper dark spot, it's very precise where you need to end up to actually get the kind of boost that you want. It's very easy to be too left of it, so that would be too left, but it is also easy to not get enough enough sort of direction on this and end up too right. And those will give you very distinct and different results depending on what you end up with. So we're looking at this dark spot up here. We want to be pretty much in the middle of it, maybe slightly to the right side. I do actually have a little image. So if I've marked that starting position, and then I've marked the end position there. And you can sort of try to work it. It's really not that much space, is the thing. So getting that tiny movement is going to be the most important thing, but also not going too left is going to be pretty vital as well. So you run along the wall, you line up, try to keep the camera caught on this wall. You'll know what I mean if you try this one out, but it sort of catches on the wall behind you. Try to keep it like that so it's not as stressful to sort of see what you're doing. So line spyro up, Biscuit will do his little animation, and then we'll full hop and then jump over. And then as we're coming down, this is the part that is also quite difficult. I do this quite early a lot of the time. I'll show you quite soon. You're going to want to just do a square press. So try to think of it as like, I want to say, sort of a fusion of Shemp Skip and Blowhard Boost, but it's sort of got a lot of different elements. So we'll try and do a regular Biscuit here. So you're going to get shocked, don't get scared by that, and he's going to bob, I'm going to jump, and that one, I believe, was too early. Generally, if you get shocked and fall through the turrets, that's a too late press on the square. If he just gets destroyed like that and you get no boost, oh, okay, so that one was actually a perfect Biscuit. I'm just gonna let Spyro die here because I don't want to go to the vortex room. It's a little bit longer, especially if I'm practicing. But that was a perfect boost there, so everything, my position was correct, my timing was correct. Really couldn't get any better than that. If you go too high, sometimes it can be slower. If you go too low, you're going to have to rely on a scenery proxy, and that one is very specific. You can see that one there, that was another one that was too early, which sort of just destroyed Biscuit. We didn't get anything out of that one. That can be good sometimes if you want to continue on and do Terry boost because you still have your full sparks, or at least one sparks. But otherwise, yeah, I generally in my runs, I go for bisquick because I find this very difficult nowadays. So that one was interesting. That one was too early, but it was also too left, and you can sort of tell that because I got sort of shot out to the left side. You can also get a perfect timing but too left scenario where you get shocked but go out the left. You'll probably see that when I start trying to do bisquick. And so that's the part that's quite interesting because you can start to troubleshoot this quite easily. So jump, square. So this is one that me and Composer are trying to lab out a little bit. This one, so that small boost there, it's possible to go too late and too early on this trick and not get the full height. But we find that depending on your position, so say I'm pretty sure I was too right on that one where I got that small biscuit. If you're too right, what can happen a lot of the time is you'll get a biscuit, you'll get a small pop, is sort of what I call it. And it means that your timing was sort of in the right ballpark, but the position was just a little bit off as well. You'll find that you get a lot of those. So that was another one that was possibly too early, too left. And making those sort of micro adjustments is something that you're going to have to get used to. There we go. That was another biscuit. I'll try and get the scenery here to see if I can get it. I've missed it there. So the scenery is one that if you get the wrong amount of height, it's actually quite easy to get. But if you've got the right amount of height and you go for it anyway by lowering yourself, you're usually not going to get it. What it is you're basically bouncing off the loading in texture of the waterfall, is sort of how I understand it. So we'll try a couple more and see if we can get any interesting ones. So that one was to left. And sort of starting at Claude and practicing it this way is kind of helpful just for getting in the motion of things. So lined up, jump, square. So I've got another small pop there, so I'm assuming that I was a little bit too right. It's very, so when I say too right, too left, these are very minute adjustments. Like they're very obvious when you know what you're looking for, but they are very minute adjustments. So that one is just going to make it over the waterfall. So if you make it over that wall, you can hug left. So I didn't make it there because I didn't really try, but you can hug left without going through the wall. And you can make it into the vortex room. If you need to, charge onto the platform, and that'll get you in there. So that one was another one that was too early. They all feel the same when you do it, but they are quite different. Alright, so jump, square, another one that was too early. You'll find that when you try it, Too early is going to be your main mistake for quite a bit, and then it's going to start to be that positioning. You're going to get those different kinds of shocks. So that was a bit of a weird one. Also too early though. Sometimes I do need to remind myself that when I'm doing this, I need to take a moment, I need to breathe. So just let it hang for a second. I didn't let it hang, but and then the second thing that I also do is I go later than you think you should, so you know what being late is. So I'll try and see if I can get a late one. We'll see how we do. So jump, I'm gonna let it hang. So that's a late one. I fell through, I got shocked. Let's try it again. So that particular one was interesting because I was essentially a frame off. So you saw Spyro did a little flop on those turrets there, and what that small flop essentially means is you've got the correct position, and you can see that I had the correct position. Once again, I was able to recover that one. So I had the correct position, but my timing was a frame late, I believe. You can see that one, that's another to right one. So this is a very precise trick, but you can get good at it, you can get consistent at it. I find that sometimes it can just be a mood-based thing as well. If you're very tired, you might have a different timing in mind. There was another flop. Let's try and get that one again. Alright, so that is the classic, I had perfect timing, but I was too left, getting shot out the left side. Okay, so try one more. There we go. Let's try and get that scenery again. Try and land on it. There we go. So you can actually get a lot of extra height from that scenery there. It's very unreliable though. There is a second scenery that you can get, but I've only ever gotten it once. So I wouldn't necessarily practice getting the scenery because it can be so unreliable. Whoops. Alright, so we'll move on to the bisquick setup, which is, so bisquick is literally just taking out that that section of the trick where we sit there and wait for his animation to play out. So we're basically going to run up to him, jump over him, and then it should, if you're lined up correctly, you should be able to just hit square and get it. See how this goes. Okay, so that one, so these actually help with troubleshooting as well, knowing what's too right, too left. So that one was another one that was too, like, far too right. So I got basically nothing out of that one. It's hard to say whether my timing was correct with that too. So you can see we're still going along the, whoops, my X, where did it go? So we're still going along for the bisquick, along the wall for the bisquick. And then we're essentially jumping over him. We're not, so some people will sometimes do this. There's always a chance that you destroy him, or it makes the angle very awkward to actually run into him. You can get it, but it's very difficult because, as you can see, you sort of hug the wall and you go too far left. So I would definitely recommend going along the wall. It helps setting up. You can see that was another one that was too right. So we'll see if we can get a bisquick. Okay, so that one was too early. So you still can be too early, and I find that depending on how high your jump is and where you jump and things like that as well, it can be a little bit difficult. These where you go a bit too late but are able to recover with a biscuit aren't too bad if you don't mind going for it. But if you're planning to keep going along and do Terry Boost, it's a bit of a pain. So that's another classic one that you're going to see a lot. If you try bisquick, you're going to get shot out left because maybe the button press was a bit too strong. So that one was a bit too early. I probably would have gone left with that one as well. I find that sometimes bisquick can be a little bit more flexible, but it just depends on what you're doing. So that was another flop that would have worked if my timing was correct. I went too early on the backup. So there are a few different ways that you can mess around with this one. Let's try and get that one. We're out left again. And look, sometimes when you're in a run, you kind of know immediately. So that one was a bit too far right. So we'll try not to be too far right again. See if we can get a successful one. There we go. So this one I can probably scenery off of if I'm lucky. Yep, there we go. And I'll just go down there. So you can retry immediately. See if we can get 2 in a row. No, we can't. Now the time save as far as skipping Terry, this can save sort of depending on how you go with Terry boost. I know I'm terrible. Saves me about 20 seconds, but I know for others that have really good Terry boosts that are a lot more practiced than me, saves them about 15 if you go for bisquick, about 8 seconds if you go for regular biscuit, just because of that setup time. So bisquick is obviously the quicker option. It has a really high turnover as well, so you can practice this trick really quickly, you can get it out of the way really quickly, and then like if you don't get shocked you can keep going. If you're a turbo gamer like Composer or you know someone like that, you can actually make cycle and it only loses you I think around about 2 to 3 seconds or 1 to 3 seconds. If you go for the bisquick setup. If you go for biscuit, you're essentially locked into a bit of a time loss if you don't make it. But I still think these tricks are definitely worth going for. So that was a Mongo height one. So sometimes these aren't actually the faster ones because you have to slow down there to avoid the wall. They feel great though. So we'll see if we can get a couple of different kinds of bisquicks just to show sort of what we're going for. So yeah, and essentially, so we're still just aiming for that same dark spot in the wall. You can see how that one sort of launches you. I find that it can be a bit more consistent in the sense that a lot of your timing is going to be taken care of depending on how you jump and run in. And depending on that run in as well, your position can sort of be sort of predetermined. Yeah, that one was a bit too left. I definitely wouldn't be scared off by this trick. On average, I would say the longest it's taken someone to learn it by using these methods was probably around about 3 to 4 hours. And then the fastest was literally 10 minutes. So depending on how confident you are with Spyro's movement, I think you can get one quite quickly. It's just the consistency that is usually the issue. So once you know how to do it, it's mostly just sort of making sure you're still doing the same thing. So this is another one that I would try to go for a scenery for, but again, that was just too low. So you can get some that do definitely make it over the wall or just miss the wall, and those are the most crushing ones because you're so close to a perfect biscuit. But essentially you just got to sort of roll with it. I guess if you get that sort of thing, it makes it easier to get to Terry if that's what you want to do with your run. Personally, I reset until I get this thing. I free clawed. It's honestly not that much of a big deal to me. So this one I'll try scenery again. I don't think I'm going to get it. You can see how the waterfall wall sort of loads in as you try to go for that one. That's sort of what you're getting the scenery off of as far as I know. So now that one was interesting. That one was too late, I believe. So I didn't get any kind of height. I got shocked and I fell through. There's another good one. So yeah. Essentially, as long as you make it over that secondary waterfall wall, you are definitely going to make it into the vortex room. And then that's terrace done. Totally skipped, you know, perfect. And I can sort of try and show what a run through might look like. So we'll just exit, re-enter, see how we do. Back in. And if you've seen Nova's terrace tutorial, this is similar. The way I run through is very similar to how she does it. So flame this guy, jump on here, jump up, see you to that man, get him because he will shock you, run through here. You can jump and then charge onto that step, but I'm pretty bad at it. I usually grab Claude here and then I go for bisquick. So that would have failed. So generally what I do is I just dive down. I give myself 3 or 4 tries, so essentially how many lives Spyro has, and I try to go for it. So this one's a very tight one, so I'm going to try and make this as close as possible. There we go, into the vortex room. So you can see that it is pretty flexible once you know sort of how to do it. I would definitely recommend trying it. You can implement it if you would like. Again, bisquick only loses about 1 second if you make cycle. But if you succeed at it, obviously it saves about, you know, sort of 15 to 20 seconds, around about that range. So if you hate terrace like I do, might be worth investing in. If not, might be something to think about later. So if there was anything that I didn't cover, I'm so sorry, but hopefully I've covered enough of the basics that you can sort of approach this and land one and enter Biscuit Gang. So I definitely want to see a lot more bisquickers out there. It's a very fun trick. It feels really good to land. Very good if you're practicing and you hit like 3 or 4 in a row. Definitely feels amazing. But you will get a lot of failures, and I've basically filled up this entire pit with dead spyros. Like, the soup is just spyro down there. But yeah, so I guess I'll end this one out. And thank you if you made it all the way to the end.